apologize to the victim.
Yeah, I loaned Elk cash. About $100,000.
It was more than that.
That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyways, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yeah, I wanna have $1,000,000. He got lucky, you know, real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over.
So now he's trying to clear himself, but still indemnify,
The waitress?
what's her name?
Bird? Maggie Bird?
Maggie Bird.
Now, I see that you got the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Elk was $50,000. Yeah, well, you's got the VIG to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know.
Shit.
Maybe it was, I guess $500,000 was what Armstrong owes then. That's why I got that wrong.
Yeah.
That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal.
And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid.
No, he's dead.
He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if
You just admitted that you kill your clients. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case.
His motive? He has to have one. But what is it? It's easy. You wanted the fucking scratch ticket
Yeah,
or the
man.
fucking lottery ticket. That's the easiest motive to put together ever.
Should we save right now?
Yeah, sure.
2?
Yep.
Oh, I can't.
Really? Oh.
Ties to the
Now you
victim
should
now.
be able to. There you go.
Save. Yes, please.
Yeah, I owned him cash about $100,000.
Press. Hold it.
Did he have any way of paying the loan back?
The fool was a gambler. He said he couldn't give it up till he landed a big win. So I agreed to help him.
Help.
Help him? You? I kept hitting him with ideas for ways he could get a big win. But the guy kept losing.
Probably going more into debt with you. So you were helping him for his sake or yours?
Win through compromise. Yous help me, I help yous. What's the difference, huh?
I don't believe this.
Nick, would anyone ever really loan money to someone they thought was unreliable? Like, for example, if it were you, I'd loan you $5 max.
Thanks a lot, Maya.
You're so funny, Maya.
That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see?
Why am I reacting?
Hold it.
So, how much were you expecting him to pay you back on that day?
What do you think? The whole package, $100,000 including interest.
That's a real heavyweight punch.
Once the client misses a repayment, you call the whole loan in. You wanna make it in my world, that's all you's gotta know. And how many times had Mr. Glenn Elg been late with his repayments? Once.
And how much was he supposed to pay back every month?
$50.
Sounds like Mr. Elk was in a real sticky spot.
Wait a minute. $50,000 loan, 1,000 months would equal 100 years. So basically, the tender lender sucks at math because he would have been repaying it for 100 years before he even started paying into the interest,
Yeah.
meaning that they would be lucky to get their principal back at all.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
So anyways, he tells me it's got no
Oh,
way to
wait.
pay up.
There are 12 months in a year, so
So
it's...
$500, $600 a year. After 100 years would be $60,000, and after 100
Yeah,
years,
still, it's for fucking ever. It doesn't make sense. All right, hold it.
Okay. So, how much did he have left on his debt?
You want it in round figures? About $100,000.
That's the whole amount. Yo!
We're talking about a guy who had an emptiest sense in his wallet.
What? You's telling me he wasn't even gonna pay for the coffee? He certainly seems to have been a brave man, this Mr. Elk. That guy was smooth, I tells ya. Real smooth. You had your money in less than 5 minutes. That's what he says to me. The guy calls me the Tender Tiger. He was skating on thin ice with me. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming.
Hold it.
Was that because he...
The guy won the lottery. It was his last chance to win big. And you can confirm that this was the ticket in question? That's it. The Millionaire Radio Show starts at 1:30 and runs for 10 minutes. That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy.
And the whole scene was acted out again in 30 minutes later. Yeah, so if
Yeah.
he's going to say that that he was there for the real radio announcement and witnessed the guy win, then he's admitting that he sat around the place for about an hour before cops were called. Like, how is he gonna fill the gap?
Between what? Between
There's still the gap
his
exists.
meeting and when the cops actually showed up, or when
He's
he actually
purporting
died?
he's purporting to have been there during the real death.
Okay. Well, the real death happened sometime between 1:30 and 2:30. The
In
show
fact-
happens at 1:30 to 1:40.
Yep. And then cops were called at when?
I think it's a time range.
How do we see when the cops are called? There's got to be a note on it.
It would be under Kudu's testimony. Victor's testimony. Oh, there isn't anything else?
Is there seriously no note in the court record about the cops being when they were called? That's fucking ridiculous.
Go over further?
There's no notes
Whoa.
on when the cops came. That's amazing.
Huh.
Anyways, the point is, if we can at least bring that up somehow, he's got like a good hour to fill of why he sat around or why he left the scene when the guy died. Maybe he's gonna say that after the guy won, he walked away, and then the poisoning happened after he
That's
he
what
left.
I was thinking. Like,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
understand why he has to be there while he died.
He doesn't, I guess. That's true. That's
Okay.
true. All right. Also, that Mr. Kudo would see it.
I can still see the kid's face now. I ain't never gonna forget it.
Wait a minute, but he also claims to have been there when he died.
He did say that?
He said the kid was stiff as a rock, as stiff as concrete.
That was his previous testimony.
So what,
that
now he's gonna say I
revised.
never was there when he died, I was there to meet with him, and then he died later?
Yeah,
That
I
wasn't-
think so. Because you said he saw the back of his head. And he was stiff as a board, but actually that wasn't right.
All right, press
Hold
this.
it!
Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time?
I don't remember.
If there was no one there, I'll wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month.
If you'll let me.
Mr. Armstrong, Maggie, and if I'm right, Viola Cadaverini were all there at that time.
So the victim had intended to repay you from his lottery winnings from the beginning? Seems that way to me. But you wouldn't normally expect to win the lottery, would you?
The underlying believes that your next will wind you up in the worst losing streak you've ever had. That's the way that defines a true gambler.
He makes it sound so cool.
Don't be tempted, Mick. You haven't got the willpower for it.
Phoenix is considering taking up gambling now.
All I know is the kid took it for a shot and he got lucky in the end. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over.
Hold it.
The waitress, you mean?
The girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair. Who else could I mean? If she hadn't gotten away, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over with and done.
Maybe I should push this a little harder. Sure. How? Yeah, ask about what Maggie did. Get him to admit that he was there for the point of murder. Then he'll have to fill in the time he sat around.
Okay, we'll see.
What exactly are you implying the defendant did?
How's about you ask Four Eyes about that $500,000 ticket? She wanted it so bad. She poisoned Mel's coffee.
Are you saying you saw this? A likely theory. Your word hasn't held water lately, Mr. Tigre.
Objection!
It's under my butt. What the fuck?
Why is that under your butt?
I don't know, but it's been really messing with me.
Aww. Poor fresh butt.
Anyways, it was up my butt. Not really, but kinda, but not really. Just wait a second. I have to get Godot's voice back. Okay, there we go.
It took you this long to pull it out?
I never knew.
Now you're pregnant.
Just a second. Here we go. Okay.
Let's not forget this witness was actually at the scene, right?
The law don't exactly agree with some of the death deals I send down. I couldn't be there when the cops showed up, so I split. I see.
So he's admitting he was there for the death.
Yeah.
Oops.
Your Honor, the witness's last statements are worth a good 2 cups of coffee.
I concur, Mr. Godot. You will amend your testimony accordingly, witness. Ah ha ha! So that's what you's after, Phoenix, right? Thanks to what she did, my business with that kid was over.
Hold it.
The Tigre's trying to pin the crime on Maggie. If I asked him about what he saw, it's only going to damage our case. What do you mean things would have been over and done with?
Are yous all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was going there to get my 100,000 bucks back. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way. As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigre had no motive for killing the victim. Well, Mr. Wright, are you happy with the testimony or would you like it amended?
Uh-oh.
Have it amended. I didn't see anything in the thing that said, what did it just say? It said it would have been over.
Yeah, it would have been.
And we have nothing
over
to
and
contradict
done
to
with.
that. We need it amended so it says something different.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get anywhere with the testimony as it stands. Your Honor, the defense would like the testimony amended.
Very well. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect your recent statements, please.
Now what does it say?
I was after the $100,000. I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy.
Yeah, go to, the...
Right there. He paid that. But I feel like that would be jumping the gun.
What about the MC Hammer, fucking MC Bomber? Is that like already kind of taken care of because it was the virus thing and it doesn't matter?
Okay, so we know a couple things. We know that the tiger paid Viola Cadaverini's bill so that her grandfather wouldn't kill him, basically, because it was his fault. He also seemed to have fallen in love with her along the way. Maybe he didn't, I don't know. But anyways, we know that he needs $1 million. And he was about to collect $100,000 from Glenn Elg. So because Glenn Elg couldn't repay his loan of $100,000, he was leveraging that to force him to write a virus that's potentially worth $1 million. Which is interesting because this virus ended up getting unleashed anyways. I guess he ended up taking it away with him. So that was a copy that how did we get this into evidence if it ended up being unleashed anyways?
It was type other found at tender lender. We found it at the tender lender.
Oh, we found it at the tender lender. Okay. So we know that he had both a motive to take the virus and he had a motive to take the $500,000 ticket.
Yeah.
Both of which to repay the bill. So here's where we're at in it. Like, this is a tough decision. We know that we want to present 3 pieces here. We want to present the bill, proving that he's in debt, that he needs to pay a big bill. We want to...
I think it would be the bill first.
The bill first?
Yeah.
And then subsequently show that...
One of these, and it will probably be like, oh yeah, and this other thing would equal the $1 million.
Let's save then. Because in my mind, all 3 should work, but this is Phoenix Wright rules. We'll probably get fucked.
So we should probably present our badge because...
Yeah, basically. It's funny because if we present the wrong one of the 3, they'll be like,
That has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening here.
Yeah.
all right. So the bill, you think?
I think so.
All right.
Objection?
Objection!
Objection!
Seemed to have worked.
So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elga owed you, correct?
I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right.
Wow, I get a weird expression when I do that guy's voice.
Do you?
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, $100,000 wasn't enough to cover it, was it?
Huh?
About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery.
Where did you get all this info?
These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. Payment for these expenses was due in December of last year and was paid in full.
$1 million? A preposterous sum. Someone should sue these HMOs.
No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue.
But Mr. Tigra had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it.
God! Order, order, order! You say it like his life depended on it, Mr. Wright?
Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini.
Did you say Cadaverini?
Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all the underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Cadaverini demanded of you. desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glen Elg's life to pay your debt.
Order! What do you say to that, witness?
It's a nice little fairy tale, right? But even if the witness did need $1 million, that doesn't tie him to Glen Elg's murder. Mr. Elg only owed him $100,000 and had no hope of repaying it anyway.
Yeah, that guy wasn't worth my spit.
Objection! I don't think so. In fact, the opposite is true.
The opposite.
Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glen Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial.
What?
Do you know where you're going with this, Nick?
You've got to think outside the box, Maya.
Outside the box,
It's very straightforward. Mr. Tigra wasn't after the $100,000 after all, at all, even.
It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us?
And before Phoenix just hands it over to the judge without the player having any input, and I was wrong, huh?
What exactly was Mr. Tigra after?
The virus. The virus.
Take that! Glen Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Care to explain how skills can be used as collateral to secure a loan trade?
He had the skill to create a computer virus, and so he did. A virus known as MC Bomber.
A computer virus? What does one of those do?
A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer.
Oh, I better go check on my typewriter. A computer? What does one of those do?
Oh, Judge.
I guess the beard is the only part of his honor that is from the Stone Age. Gulp. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is an important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million in the black market. Mr. Tigra, you couldn't have cared less about the $100,000, isn't that right? All you cared about was one thing, the virus! On the day of the Moida, Mr. Tigra's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glen Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000 and Mr. Tigra knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tigra would have preferred never happened, but he can't, neither can I.
The lottery win.
Exactly. And at the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigra with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least no legitimate way. Sprinkle, 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 twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. So we resorted to illegitimate means.
That's crazy.
He moited Glen Elg and then made his next move to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigra posed as Glen Elg, while Viola Cadavarini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudu.
Objection!
Like I said, right, it's crazy. No one could have pulled off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the shot could have kept up. For starters, there's no way the shot could have kept out of it.
Kept up. Fuck me.
But Mr. Armstrong knew all about it. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigra's plan.
Order, order! Silence in the court! Yeah! You's put on a good show, Spiky. If yous want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd bet I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt.
And it's a very bright shirt.
Okay.
I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that.
But you did leave behind a trail. You did.
I agree.
What?
Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution.
Being Phoenix Wright?
Yeah. One more trick to make sure the Mrs. Bird would have no way out.
What? Another one? Mr. Wright?
I submit to the court the judge is a fucking moron and thought that I was you for an entire week.
Interesting. Why don't you fill us in all? Why don't you fill us all in, Trace? What was this trick that Mr. Cheever performed? Frame the accused. Wait a second, testing. Alright, that's loud now, right? Good.
All right. So we just need to go ahead and you can read these now.
Okay.
We need to
Careful.
present the fake attorney's badge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Take that!
Better. Okay.
What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation.
Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor. Mr. Tigra, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago in this very court, you posed as me.
We'll be back after this with probably a fresh dance to open the segment, I think.
Oh?
Stay tuned.